Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.
Well, hey there, friends. It's JoJo here. I hope that you are having a wonderful Thanksgiving week. I hope that you have some plans to take some time off, to catch up on some rest. I know that Kyle and I will be doing so. We just had the grand opening of our giant rebrand this past weekend. So this week we decided to definitely catch up on some rest. We'll be heading over to my mom's for Thanksgiving, and I'm sure stuffing our faces. But we didn't want to leave you hanging this week. So this week I'm sharing with you a replay from a workshop that we did at one of our boot camps. And this workshop was all about how to fund your business. Everyone loved this workshop. The chat was going crazy with lots of ideas and excitement. So I definitely think if you are looking to fund your business, if you still need the capital to fund your business, this episode will get the juices flowing with giving you ideas on exactly how to do that. I also walk you through some different scenarios and ways that we funded our business, and some of our students did as well, to really get you some inspiration. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we will be back with you next week. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy.
Today is such an exciting topic, and one that I know so many of you have come to us about: funding your business. So if you're excited to be here, tell us in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. We're coming here live from Flower Mound, Texas, yet again.
I am excited today. We being in this brick and mortar retail specialty game, I feel like our weeks are kind of backwards, right? So I get super excited for Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, because honestly, it's when we're the busiest, it's the most hectic, and I love what I do, and I love what we do. So I'm super pumped. The store is already going crazy today. Speaking of going crazy, I see the chat is starting to light up, seeing where everybody's from. Let's get that going early and often today. We want to keep seeing that good feedback. If you guys have any questions, we're on what, day 4, JoJo?
Day 4.
Day 4. Hopefully we're getting better and better at this thing. I think so. But yeah, I'm really excited today. We're talking about the money, right?
Yeah, and as always, don't forget to turn off those distractions. You guys have been so active in the chat, so I don't even think I have to worry about that. But thank you guys for participating in the chat. We love seeing y'all's discussion during it. All right, so let's get to today's topic, which is all about how to fund your business. We are going to go over 6 strategies with you that can help you fund those startup costs so you can start moving forward as soon as possible. By the end of our time together, you are going to learn the 6 strategies to fund your business. So you're going to stop letting funding hold you back. I want you moving forward and not letting yourself get stuck here. So let's do that today. Stay with us till the end. As always, we are going to do Q&A, so put your questions throughout in the chat, and we will get to those at the end. All right, I want to hear from you before we dive in today. What is your biggest struggle when it comes to funding your business? Tell us in the comments. What's been holding you back? Is it knowing how to fund your business? Is it just you've been applying for grants, you're not getting it? What's your biggest challenge or obstacle when it comes to funding? Let us know in the chat. Where to start? Yes, that's a great one. Securing new credit. Yes, good feedback there. Absolutely. I think for us, it was just understanding what all was out there and available for small businesses. So that's what we're going to go over with you today. Have applied for multiple grants with no success. Yep, Janet, I can feel you there. Investors believing in our startup. Yep, that can be a challenge for sure. Thank you all for sharing. Great feedback. Well, we are going to try to cover all of those today and more to help you, give you some ideas on how to fund your business, and you will most certainly know where to get started. All right, so the biggest thing that I want you to know, if you take away one thing from today, is to not let funding hold you back from moving forward. A lot of times as we start to move forward, just step by step, things start to become more clear, and the funding just starts to fall in place. I know for us, as we move forward, we didn't even know how we were going to fund things, but we just kept moving to the next level, and we figured it out. So don't let it hold you back from moving forward.
And it's one thing that you're really exceptional with is just the kind of continuation to until somebody physically says no, 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 and every option is exhausted. We've always kind of, put that on someone else or make it, to do absolutely everything we can do. So
yeah, stay persistent.
Sure.
It can happen. Just keep taking action and keep moving forward. All right, today we're going to go over the 6 ways to fund your business. So we've got saving, selling, finding investors, looking for partners, grants, and loans. We're going to dive into each one. All right, most businesses do use a combination of ways to fund their business. So those 6 ways, you'll see some people will start saving, and then they'll also find maybe a loan, or they'll get a grant, but they also might seek a partner. So look for ways that you can combine some of these things. We're going to be sharing a lot of stories with you of clients that we've worked with and our own personal stories, and you'll see that there's a lot of combination in here. All right, so I just wanted to start putting this visual in your mind so that you guys can start seeing how all of this starts to fall together. So this was our first business. So our first business, we had been saving for a while. So, we cut out some of our expenses. We weren't going on vacations. We weren't eating out. And we were able to set aside about $15,000 of our personal funds. We also started doing festivals. This was a great way to start selling our product and generating revenue to put towards our business. We saved $8,000 doing that, and then we did find a grant for $5,000. So our total startup cost wound up being on $28,000. And then you can see in our first month of sales, we did $24,000. So that was killer. It was a great first month, and then it only increased from there. Today, this business that was our first business, we still own today, and it does around $85,000 a month on average. Now, we've worked really, really hard to get there. But I just want you to see what is possible. When we get overwhelmed and paralyzed by the startup costs, I want you to remember what is possible with this business. What can you do in the first to third month of sales so that this startup cost isn't so overwhelming?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, taking a look at our second business, did you want to talk about our partnership?
Yeah, the second business, one thing you learn with the first, when you open the first business, it lends a sense of credibility. And it also opens you, and I think I've mentioned this before, to use this location that you have as a platform for other opportunities. I cannot tell you how often, and this was kind of the genesis of this, was how many people to come into the store looking and offering opportunities, this, that, and the other. They see what you've done, and then they kind of go from there. So with this one, we were approached by another store owner in the same, of the same ilk, and we ended up going half and half. Now, the intention with this one was to get it going and then to sell it. It just was. We, kind of harkens back to this, not every single dollar that you do at the store has to be rung up on the register as well. Meaning there are other opportunities within. So don't look at it as just, I have to get all these people. There are definite bigger ones. And so we've had some massive wins that have come from outside the store, leveraging the store. So with that being said, we put in $5,000 from savings. It was just other fun. It was just, cash funds from the current store. And we took out $10,000 because it was available, it was there. And we're building the business credit and all that good stuff. And then we took a partner on and they put in 15 grand. So the total startup cost on that one was 30. That was our, like I said, that was our third store. That was the one that we turned in like 6 days. I think we went keys to keys to cards in 6 days. That's what we said. First month sale, we did 34,000. Second month was 38, and then the third month was 42. And at the 42, that was a pretty appealing number for an opportunity to sell, to move on from that business. And that's kind of where all of that kicked off from. But we were able to finagle, move, and it was a good deal. It definitely was a good business deal for us to make at the time.
Yeah, so this was our second business. We didn't want to keep using a lot of our own funds. So we found ways to get a loan, get a partner, and really come together to open this business. So that was a great option for us at that time. Now moving on to our third business, we just went with an investor on this one. So once again, we were approached by someone, but you can go out there and find investors as well. This was someone we knew that had saw, the profitability of what we were doing, and they said, hey, I want to do this, but I don't really want to do anything. I just want to throw some money at you.
Right.
And you guys have been doing this. So they were kind of a silent investor in the way that they provided us the funds, and we did all the work. So we built out the store, we, managed and ran the store. So this store, by the time we did it the third time, obviously you can see our sales were even higher starting out. We chose a much better location. We know exactly how to market at this point. So we were able to, do more higher end sales from the beginning. We'll dive in a little bit later on how we set up this investor contract to make sure that we didn't lose out too much here. But we've done it all. So we've used investors, we've gotten loans, we've gotten grants, we've saved, we've done festivals. So there's such a variety of ways that you can utilize. And as you look to grow your business, even beyond the first one, there's a lot of opportunities that will come to you when people see that you're doing successful. So know that the first one sometimes is the hardest one to get rolling, but it really grows from there.
Right.
All right, let's dive into the 6 ways to fund your business. Who's ready? Give me a yes in the chat. Let's do this. It's Friday, guys, so we got to get a little fired up here today, right? Especially when we're talking about money. That's not always fun. So we're going to make this as fun as possible today. All right. Okay, the first way, yes. Ooh, I love the chat. Okay, number 1 is saving. And I know this sounds simple and basic, but when you really sit down and look at your personal expenses, I promise you, anybody that we've done this exercise with has found areas in their life that they're over or that they're spending on that they can cut back. So, eating out, or maybe cutting out that vacation, or maybe even their living expenses. We knew somebody that was renting a really expensive apartment. Their lease was coming up, and they wound up renting a room for 6 months that cut their living expenses tremendously, and they were able to save, and it was pretty incredible. We knew one person that actually lived in their store when they first got started. I don't know if that was even legal pertaining to their lease. So you might want to look into that, but the people have fought in hard teeth and nails to make this happen and seen where that they can cut back. So it is possible to look at those areas that you can save. So if you have any ideas in your mind that have maybe popped up, I want you to put in the chat just what's one thing that maybe you can cut back on your expenses. Is it, shopping for clothes every week, or maybe just getting your nails done once a month, or what's something else?
Yeah, you'll have plenty of time later to make up with all that.
Yeah.
Get the business.
Yes.
I mean,
Eating out. Yes, I know. Eating out, I think, is the one that all of us can really do there and save that way. Yes. So many areas that you really can that add up quite quickly. Eating out. Yep. I feel you. All right. So here are some ideas on ways that you can save. Obviously, eating out, I think we can all relate there. Only spending on necessities. Everything that you spend on, look and ask yourself, is this is this necessary for my day-to-day life right now? And is this going to get my business open? If it's not, then see if you can cut it out. Another thing is looking for an extra part-time job or a side hustle. Is there somebody that just needs some extra help with something on the weekend that maybe you can put in some extra hours and that money can add up quite quickly? Also, look at lowering your startup costs. A lot of times we think that we need a lot more money than we really do to get started. So using that budget cheat sheet that we gave you the other day, look at your budget, but then going back and seeing, do I actually need all of these things to get started, right? Kyle, you want to
Start
Kinda
simple and
reiterate
get
this?
fancy. So we talked about this in on Tuesday, I think. But to take a look at these things and say, is this required to open my doors? And is this expense going to bring a return on investment? Jojo always makes a mention of that fountain. What is that money going to bring? What is, if I spend this, how am I going to make money on that? And limit it to that. In the beginning, we want to spend money on marketing and we want to spend money on inventory. That's it. That's it. Obviously, you don't want to have some camping table out there with your cash register on there, but you go with the $500 you go with the $500 cash register as opposed to the $5,000.
Right.
That's kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Customers, you'd be surprised what customers see and don't see. They're so much more focused on everything else other than these little details that the store in the picture looks fantastic, but certainly would be something to goal. It's a goal, if anything else.
Your business will grow with you. And
Right.
I can assure you that you can add those things in later without hurting your business today. All right, moving on to number 2, which is start selling your product or service now. So tell me what your product or service is in the chat. I want to see what is it that you're going to be offering in your brick and mortar business. Because more than likely, you can start offering that now. I know for us, we started selling at a farmer's market.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was constant. It was not only was it great for capital, but it was like drinking out of a fire hydrant of how many reps you got. I mean, I know everybody's great at what they do, but the reps of selling this, it all pays off. And that was really huge and something that I really enjoyed. We met a ton of people. They're great places to market to, great places to network from. It just really, it really helped us and it really gave us a foothold on top of making a pretty good amount of money.
Yes. Yes, I love this. So, clothing,
Yeah.
party decor, herbal tea, lipstick, lip gloss, clothing, sea moss. Oh, I love sea moss.
Yeah. Come to our Danielle, come to our store.
Yes.
Do a little thing at our store for sure. But that's the thing, right? If you look for companies like that, that are along those aligned companies, ask them if you can do a pop-up there or something like that. I mean, it really helps.
Yeah, Kyle's jumping to the next slide here, but here are some ways that you can start selling now. So offer your products to family and friends and tell them, hey, I have a dream of opening a brick and mortar business, but I want to start selling my product now. It's kind of like fundraising, but you're selling something at the same time.
Sure.
And people will believe in your dream and
they should.
Yes. And so selling in that way is a great way to just start offering whatever your products or service are. You can also start selling online, look for your local community and maybe sell in some Facebook groups, go on Facebook Live and sell. If you have the funds to create a small, easy online website, do that for now. Kyle was mentioning pop-up at local businesses. I think that's phenomenal. Find businesses that are similar or that would, it would complement their business to sell your product or services, and ask them if you can set up a table for a couple hours during their busiest day, and ask them when their busiest day is and go set up a table. It's a great way you'll start meeting people. People will start already becoming fans of yours by falling in love with your product or service, and you're making some income at the same time that you can put towards your business.
In a perfect world, they will promote you on their social media too, as well, so that you guys can get some like fans there as well too. That's another thing that was big for us.
Yes. And, right now I know here it is vendor and festival season right now. So finding those events, those festivals, those farmers markets, all of these products that you guys are mentioning, I think would be phenomenal at a farmers market. That's another great way to get into a high traffic area where you're bringing in some income, but you're also building your brand at the same time.
Right.
So you're building your business and making money. I can't think of anything
Capturing
better.
data, all of that stuff,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely. All right. So don't be afraid to share your dream with others as you do this. I know we had one client who was at a festival or was doing farmers markets every weekend selling their product. And she would tell people like, I'm trying to open a brick and mortar business. And a lot of people wound up like giving her more money because of that. Like they were contributing to her dream, to her business. And, it really became like a fundraising effort from the local community to help her. So, tell people your story, or maybe write a little something up if you're at a market and put something up there like, hey, help me reach my dream. People want to support other people in reaching their small business dreams. Don't be afraid to tell people. All right. Okay, so Angela loves Sweets Bakery. Angela started selling her sweets at a local farmer's market. So she wound up raising, this was who I was talking about, who actually started telling people, and a lot of people wound up throwing a lot of additional funds at her.
They believed her, they liked her.
Yes. So she wound up raising $13,000. I don't remember how long it took her to do that, but she wound up putting that towards her startup cost. So it practically covered her entire startup cost. She did have some savings around $2,000. And then her first month, she made $10,000. Second month, $14,000. And her third month, she was at 22. She practically made her startup costs back within the first 3 months, which is phenomenal. And it just shows you how quickly you can make those funds back and start generating sales. All right, so moving on to number 3. So first, number 1 was saving. Number 2 was selling. And number 3 is finding an investor. All right, so how to go about an investor. Ask around, but you want trusted introductions. So you don't just want anyone that doesn't come from a referral or that isn't trusted. So if you are asking around, make sure that they're trusted people that have a good rap. You can utilize networking events. There's tons of networking events I know in our backyard, likely in your backyard as well, where they'll have small business networking events. There's always investors at these events that are usually looking for things to invest in. So don't be afraid to go join some of these networking events and ask them around for investors. There are online platforms. My favorite's probably Gust, but there's also one called Angel Investment Network and then Angel List. There's a ton of them out there. Just be careful. You don't really want to put in a bunch of money to be on these platforms, but scope them out, make sure that they're trusted platforms and see if they work for you. And then also friends and family. Now, sometimes this is a great situation. Sometimes, working with friends and family can be a little tough, but we've seen it work well. So, consider utilizing your friends and family, sharing with them about your dream. If you trust them and if they do see your vision and your dream, don't be afraid to see about getting the investment there.
Sharing your dream and your idea and everything online and Facebook and everything is not just for customers as well. It's for investors. That's how we've gotten a lot of people to work with us. They just got interested in the stuff that we were doing. And then they came in and saw what was up or what wasn't. And they were just interested. They had a peek. They saw that you were busy and they believed in us. And it's just people that I had done business with in the past. That's why I always recommend to never burn a bridge. As gruff as I might come off to be sometimes, I want to keep that open because as you move through and you progress in your career, it's nice to just refer to those other friends and people that you've done business with before. That gives you and makes it already a trusted introduction. The third store that we're referring to is just one of my Facebook friends that I've known for a very long time, and then came into the store, and it just had to happen. He was all about it, but definitely you don't tell people what you're trying to do, and you're not proud and you don't have that passion, then nobody else is going to know about it. So it's really important that you put that out and are putting yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. All right, so when you do find an investor that you want to land, it's really important that you do have a rock solid business plan put together. You want to show in that plan your experience and expertise. It's okay if you've never owned a brick and mortar business, but show what you have done. Show that you've done 5 festivals and markets before and that you're generating sales. That's huge. They're like, okay, you've already made a couple dollars off of this business. That shows that there's some demand out there. Show that maybe you have experience with customer service or experience nannying, whatever that is. Make sure you include it in your business plan so they can get to know you and who the person is behind that business plan. Show how your business will be different. So we went over this the other day, how to differentiate yourself and how to find your niche. So we did that for a reason, and that's what you're going to include in your business plan. Investors want to know that you're not going to be the exact same as the competitor next to you. They want to know how you're going to be different. So make sure you include that. And then also show the market demand. If you've done any market surveys like we talked about, show those surveys and that people have provided feedback. If you have any sales, show those sales. Make sure that you're showing that there is a demand. Show that there's nothing like this out there that's doing this and that you'd be the first one and that there is a demand for it.
Absolutely.
All right, couple things to caution you with investors. Do not give your business away. Just because somebody is throwing $10,000 at you does not mean that they deserve a 50-50 split. I want to really, really caution you. Who here has seen the show Shark Tank? We
Right.
through a phase where we watched it all the time. If you have never seen it, go take a look at that show. It will give you a great idea of ways that people are setting up these different investor relationships. So, if somebody's going to give you money, it's your business. You have the vision. You are going to be doing most of the work. It's your idea. It's your product. It's your service. There is no need to give them your entire business away. So start low, very low on the percentage that you want to give them. Or maybe you don't even give them a percentage. And maybe you say, I'll give you back your $10,000 plus $5,000. And then after that, our relationship's done.
Right.
There's lots of ways that you can set that up. I don't want you to set yourself up to, in a year from now, once that 10K is gone, is that investor going to be involved in giving you anything? So do they really owe you? Do you really owe them anything after that? Likely the answer is no. So just caution you to really don't give more away than you need to.
And be careful with the overall valuation of your business too in the beginning, right? Typically for new businesses, it's anytime we bought or purchased, it's 3x gross. For new businesses like under 3 years. So if you need a number to use as a benchmark for that, just to kind of help based on the percentages and stuff like that, you could use one of your projections and then just multiply it by 3, and that's typically the overall worth of the business, at least in a market.
Yes. All right. Don't forget to put everything in writing. The only investor relationships that I see that go poorly are typically when it's just not in writing and somebody thinks it meant one thing and somebody else thinks it meant another.
Handshake deal, yeah.
Yes, so put everything in writing. Make sure that there are clear expectations. So, make sure that your investor's not thinking they're going to get paid back in the first month. Write all of that down and make it very clear on the expectations on both sides. And then also consider what the value the investor's bringing. If it's just money, that's great. But if they also have expertise and can offer additional support, consider that as well. Consider utilizing that if you can. Yes. All right. So we had talked about our third business. We just used we're primarily silent investor. He was there a lot, just hanging out,
Yeah.
but he didn't do a lot of work.
The store, though. Yeah,
But
better and different, yeah.
So we did a 50-50 split on our revenue until that startup cost was repaid. And then after that, we did an 80-20 split where he only got 20%. Now we did have a stipulation where if something came up and we needed more money for some reason, that he would be continue to fund the business, which actually wasn't needed, but we did have that in there. And that's why we did give him a full 20%. So you can always set things up like this. You can set it up where they get until they get repaid. Then it goes down from there. So you want to make sure that you really sit down and think about how you're going to set up this relationship. All right, moving on to number 4, which is obtaining a partner. So a partner is a little bit different than an investor. Typically, a partner is going to be an active participant in the business. You can have one partner, you can have 2 partners, you can have 3 partners. Typically, you'll divide the business with your partnership evenly, but it doesn't always have to be that way. If it's your idea and you bring in a partner, they could be getting 25% and you could be getting 75%. There's a lot of different ways to set it up. But you're basically bringing someone else on to be a partial owner and really take on this business with you. So the pros of this is that you're obviously likely splitting the work. You're also likely splitting the costs. So like those startup costs, they're responsible for half of it and you're responsible for half of it. You're also adding an additional expertise and experience. So if you're looking for a partner to go in on this with you, I want you to look for someone that would bring additional value, right? Like maybe you know a lot about your product or service. So maybe you want to bring in a partner that just knows a lot about business experience or sales or accounting or something, a different area that they could really excel at that would benefit your business, right?
Yeah, marketing, things like that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Any other pros you can think of?
No, not really.
Throwing you on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. Some cons are you do split the revenue. So, while you split the cost, you split the revenue. The second con is you may not have the same vision. This is the one thing I see sometimes with partnerships is one thinks the business is going to be one thing and one sees it going in a different direction. So once again, you just want those clear expectations of understanding where the business is going to start out and how it's going to grow and making sure that you're on the same page. And then probably the biggest con that I see is one working harder than the other. Sometimes it just happens that one's going to be there all the time and the other one starts slacking off. So there are ways around that where you can really put in writing who's responsible for what.
Clear expectations. That's the theme through this whole partnership investor. It just has to be clear. And then you just always reference what the agreement was and say, hey, look, per our agreement, man, like supposed to be here 20 hours a week. Like where you at? So
Yeah. So that's exactly what we're cautioning you here. Setting those clear expectations, write down who is responsible for what. Are you going to do payroll and I'm going to do accounting? Are you going to manage employees and I'm going to do inventory? Writing all of that down so there's no questions asked. It's not like, hey, this didn't get done and who was supposed to do it. No, put it all on paper. Who's doing what? You're going to be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to be here Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. What is it going to look like? Ensure that the partner actually adds value. You don't want to bring in a partner that doesn't bring your business any value. So you also want to make sure that you trust them. You wouldn't want to bring anyone on that you don't know to have a business with. You hear horror stories all the time of people running off with all the money in the business account. I don't know any personal stories like that, so hopefully that wouldn't happen to you, but you want to make sure you trust them to prevent anything like that. And once again, put it all in writing. Have a third party signature, make sure that you're getting it all written down. What else, honey?
fantastic job.
All right. So Kyle touched on this earlier about how we had a partner. They had opened a CBD store. We had opened a CBD store and we both wanted to grow. So it was a perfect way for both of us to put our knowledge together and open another location. So we split this up 50-50, 15K, 15K. We had this business for about a year and then we wound up selling it. And then we split the revenue from that sale. And it wound up being really beneficial for both of us.
Yeah, it was a significant win for both of us.
It was,
sure.
The best part is that we were able to grow and expand, but really didn't have to put a ton of work in it. You know, we had employees manage the store, so we would stop by, they would stop by. Just, it wasn't an overwhelming, it took a lot of that overwhelm off of us having another party involved, and
Right.
it really worked out super well. We all had clear expectations of what was going on. Everybody was jointly wanting to be involved and help, and we utilized everyone's expertise, which
And
was
we had
great.
known the family for a long time, like I had worked with them for a very long time, so I knew what I was getting into. It was a mentor of mine. It was a very, it was a very good, deal. But we also had the intention too going in of what, very clear of who was doing what and where we were going with that. So
Yeah.
it was just a win for sure.
Yeah, so consider people in your life that you know and trust, and consider maybe taking them on as a partner and going in this together. It can work out very well. All right, let's move on to number 5, which is small business loans. So I always say, try to save, try to, see what you can do to raise the funds yourself. But if that doesn't work, or if you still don't have enough money, loans are not a bad thing. They can be paid off very quickly often. And so it's a great way to just get your business off the ground and moving forward. And then you can pay them off over time. But there's a couple ways that you want to make sure that you set them up. So we're going to walk you through that. But small business loans. So where to find them? The first place I want you to go is to check with the bank that you do personal banking. Oftentimes, because you already have a personal banking relationship, they know your history with them, they are much more likely to give you a small business loan than banks that don't know you and have never worked with you before. So start there. The second place is checking with the Small Business Administration. These loans are often very, very appealing. They give you a long time to pay them back, and they're very low in interest. But I want you to look for your local SBA office. I know, like here in Dallas, we have a local office in Fort Worth. So checking with your local office, you can often get a more tailored experience. They can also tell you about local grants, which we'll talk about next, but they will, just communication's a lot better than if you just like call into the general national SBA. So look to see if you do have any local offices near you and try to get connected with them. The third one is to ask your local community for referrals on loans. So ask around, ask other businesses if there was a bank that they use for small business loans. There's a lot of things out there, but it's best to get referrals and really trust the bank. And then lastly, if you've tried all of those, you can just do a general search online if all else fails.
We went to the Chamber of Commerce was pretty good for that. They had a bunch of good referrals. That's another thing
Yes.
too.
Yes, absolutely. Your Chamber of Commerce will be a great resource. Yes. All right, things to consider. Don't take out more than you need with a loan. In fact, I much prefer a line of credit. And the reason I like the line of credit is because you can have access to funds, but if you don't need them all, you don't have to use them all. And then you also have that line of credit available if something were to pop up in your business down the road. So line of credit is my preferred method. That's what we did with our business loan when we took out $10,000. We wound up using it all, but once we paid it back, it was great because we still had that line of credit there if it was ever needed. Definitely compare different loans, compare rates. Don't just go with the first one you get. You want to make sure you're getting the best rates there. And if you can't get a loan through a business loan, sometimes if you haven't had a business before, it can be challenging to get a business loan, then you can consider a personal loan. We did have to do that in the beginning with our first ever loan. It wasn't ideal, but I much prefer to get a business loan in your business name. But, if you truly believe in the power of your business, we took the risk and went all in with a personal loan. All right, next up is grants. And I actually should have put these in reverse order because I think you should look for grants before you look for loans.
Sure.
Grants are obviously money that you don't have to pay back. Grants are typically just given to you. There's no stipulations. It's just a here's funding, go start your business. Whereas the loans, as you know, we have to pay those back. So try to look for grants first, then loans. Small business grants. So I also, like Kyle suggested, reach out to your Chamber of Commerce. They are often aware of grants that are available in your local community and within your city. Our city, we didn't even realize they had a lot of grants available that we had no idea, but the Chamber is usually one of the first people to know about these grants. So make sure that you reach out to them. Also, your local SBA office is often familiar with grants in your local area, and they can help you out with that as well. So search for local grants first. So if you go to Google, I want you to type in, like, if you're us, we would type in Dallas small business grants. So I want you to look for those local grants. The likelihood that you're going to get a local grant is typically higher than if you are applying to a national grant program, because there's just less people applying, and people love to support their local community with grants. So look for those first. Also look for industry specific grants. So there are grants out there, like if you're opening a restaurant, there's a lot of industry specific, like restaurant specific grants that are just for that industry. So look for those. And then also look for minority owned grants. I know when we first started out, we weren't engaged yet, and we had set up the business to where it was under my name. And so the grant we wound up getting was actually for a female owned business. So look for those types of grants out there. They are available for minority owned businesses. All right, so these are just some more examples of people that we've worked with. Richard opened a pet store. He found a grant for $10,000. He wound up getting an SBA loan for $15,000, and he used his personal savings of only $2,000. So, you know, people aren't just doling out all of their personal savings here. As you can see, you can utilize these grants and loans to your favor to set yourself up for success. He wound up doing $28,000 his first month. He had a little dip the second month, but he was right back up his third month. As you can see, we're just showing you the first 3 months of most of these clients, but it's to show you that things grow and grow over time, and you can start off in a great point. All right, Tom and Elizabeth's Brunch Cafe, they just used a loan. That's all they wanted to use. They didn't want to use any of their personal funds. They were confident that their restaurant was going to be a success, but they did not want to touch their personal funds. They wound up only using $45,000 of that SBA loan. In their first month, they did $65,000. Second month, they were a very popular, are as a very popular restaurant that continues to do very, very well.
Okay, that's great.
All right. And then Anna, she had a gift shop. So she wound up getting a $5,000 investment from someone in her family. She used about $3,000 of savings, and she had done some sales. I don't know if it was online or how she did that, but $2,000, and her startup cost was only $8,000. She had a very low lease. She primarily just put everything into inventory and a small amount into marketing. Her first month she had 6,000, and it grew from there, 7,500, 9,000. So you can do this in a small way too. You know, you don't have to do these big grandiose build outs that cost $30,000. You can do a $10,000 build out. Your sales might be lower, but they grow with you. So it is possible. All right, so tell us in the comments, what are you going to commit to taking action on today? What are you going to do from what you learned? Is it maybe look for festivals and events that you can start selling your product or service? Is it reaching out to a family member, maybe sharing your story on Facebook? Are you going to research grants? Are you going to look up loans? What is it that you can take action on today? Tell us in the chat. Looking for ways to start selling products, Tiffany. That's awesome. Love it. Selling products, looking for an investor. Love it. Research more grants. Yes, Janet. Grants, festivals, looking for grants, local grants. Yes. I know the grant process is grueling. I think I applied to like a lot. I don't even remember the number. It can be grueling, but keep at it. They are out there. They are available. Yes. Yeah, that's right. You can't take it personal. Keep going. Start researching grants. Awesome. Put a business plan and proposal to present to my family. Yes, Bernice, I love that. Put yourself out there. Show them your vision. Contact local SBA. And yes, If you have not gotten connected with your Chamber of Commerce, I highly recommend it. That's their whole job, is to help people grow businesses in their local community. Reach out and tell them, hey, I'm thinking about opening a business in Dallas, and where should I get started? Who do you recommend for loans or grants, or do you have any networking events that I can come to? That's what they're there to do, and they want you to
turn you on to people that handle a lot of that stuff and that get
Mhm.
compensated to find business owners, like
Yes.
banks, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I'm sure their heart is probably on the wall when you walk in,
Yes,
to be totally
absolutely.
honest.
Signed up for a pitch course. I love
Okay.
that, Ashley. That's phenomenal.
Right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pumpkin?
Very cool. Oh, I love it. All right. So I just want you to know that you can and you will find a way to fund your business. I know this can get overwhelming when you're talking about money, and it can feel like a grueling process, but a little bit of effort over time adds up to big, big results. So keep moving forward. Like I said, that momentum, just don't let that momentum stop, and don't let yourself get halted on your business. Just see what you can do every week to make a little bit of effort to keep moving forward.
Are you looking for a way to help your brick-and-mortar business drive more traffic and increase your sales? Look no further than the Receipt Paper Podcast. In this podcast, Joanne and Kyle provide their sage advice on how to make your brick-and-mortar store the hottest spot in town. Whether you're just launching a new business or trying to grow an existing one, these informative episodes will leave you inspired. In each episode, Joanne and Kyle take on a different topic related to running a successful business. They offer practical tips based on their own experience as owners of multiple brick-and-mortar locations. So whatever challenges you're facing, they have actionable advice for you. From finding a location and executing your build-out, to merchandising and customer experience, to sales and marketing, Joanne and Kyle have you covered. With helpful advice from these experienced entrepreneurs, you are sure to learn how to increase your sales and have your business running out of receipt paper in no time. Let's dive right in.